Right. Hello and welcome again to this installment of Conversations That Matter. It's coming to you from Paradiso Integrale here in Umbria, Italy. I'm Mark Davenport. I'm here with the
Always with me, and I'm Heidi Hörnlein.
That was my introduction. Come on.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, I'm here with the real impetus behind these shows, wife, partner, and prompter, Heidi Hörnlein.
Yeah, if it wasn't for me.
Yeah. She has a few words now to say and talk about how the best way to watch this show is.
Yeah, if you want to participate via comments, and that would be nice because we want people to be there and say what they think about it and their questions, then you have to go to thewisdomfactory.net/live-streaming. Okay, and then you will be redirected to the page of our guest today. And who is that?
And it's some guy named Scott Marshall.
Do we know him?
Yes. We're re-greeting him today. It's been a while since he's been on, but he has special written all over him. But
That's right.
But first, Scott, just say hello, and then people will see you on the screen.
Sure. Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we're saying special because our show today is entitled Special Art for Special People. Their teacher, and I understand their administrator now, that makes Scott very special. He has combined his own considerable artistic expertise with his experience and teaching with both children and adults who also have special needs. And as we said in our publicity earlier this week, we expect one hell of a show, Scott.
All right. No pressure. No pressure at all, Mark.
No. So maybe for starters, you can tell us what odyssey your life has been to find you in the position you're in now.
Well, I'm probably the best way to explain it is that I've always had a fondness for art, and kind of discovered that I had an artistic talent through the help of a teacher when I was about 8 years old, and really saw that art as kind of a place where I could go inside.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case for me. And when I went to after high school, I wanted to be an art teacher, and now I get to do that. So the trek has gone into an interesting world where after going through college and getting my art degree, I then went and got involved in special education, worked with children for many years, and did some art with them. And, you know, I almost feel like I teach a little bit of life, mostly life, and then that little bit is the art part.
Yeah.
And so that's I think a good, easy, brief description.
So the art is there, but it's kind of in service of other motives or other goals. Huh? Is that true?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's sort of, you could say that the art is the cover story for helping people become better people, or, you know, becoming better myself, really, ultimately, both myself and working with others. And so the art is like the vehicle for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fine, because often things become value in themselves, and especially art. But it is amazing what you can do with the arts. I mean, for instance, as a musician, you feel it when you have an exhibition, a concert of other people, what you can give them. You know, they watch, listen, and often afterwards they come and say, "Oh, I was so touched," or something like this. This is, you know, normal musicians, but also with art, it has the same thing, and then the same impact. But then, when you, with people who have a difficulty to, let's say, be normal, to communicate in the normal ways and behave in the normal ways. Isn't it that their art has a special possibility to reach these people?
Yeah, definitely. The working with people who have like a diagnosis like ADHD or um, intellectual disability or Down syndrome or any of these, the kind of the ultimate communicator is beyond language, which is kind of prior to language, I think, which is, or sort of co-emerging with language, is art, and either in visual art. And I kind of think all the way back when we were more primitive people, when we did cave painting, how we communicated, how we told stories with symbols on the walls of the cave all the way back then that translate all those thousands of years till today. How important it is that we can fall back on that power of the communication of art. And I like to think of the people that have a diagnosis are people first and foremost. They're people just like we are, or a person like we are, and they just have a completely unique way of looking at the world, and that can be honed and brought out and help express through their artwork.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe who your students are, if I can call them students?
Yeah, you can call them students. We have I work for a company called Living Resources, and it's based in upstate New York, and we serve a variety of different kinds of people with a variety of ages. So we go all the way from about 14 to people in their 60s. And the art program that I'm a part of has 3 studios, and each of the studios has its own kind of its own students. Oh, we have over 100 students, and so they're all very different and have a variety of needs. Some people can walk around and have full mobility, and some people are in wheelchairs. Some people and everywhere in between, really.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
quite a variety. Can you say anything generally about the needs of a 14-year-old as opposed to a 16-year-old?
Yeah,
Have to adjust.
it ultimately depends on a number of things. I like to think of the instructor or the person that does direct support as a vehicle or a bridge between building a safe space for another person. So a variety of people need more help, or they might need more help, or they might need much less help. And so really good people that work with this kind of population, I think of it in a very similar way to what I just said, which is sort of that if a person has a lower cognitive function, but maybe has a very um, um, there's a more of a natural support for someone, and it's finding that natural support. And so that's a kind of dance or a relationship between the instructor and the student.
Uh-huh.
And for me, I use what I'm good at, which is humor.
Mm-hmm.
And genuine joy is really important in the classroom, and creating those two, sort of the basic level of safety, and without safety or having a safe space, really, there really no one can create or be creative. I don't care who you are. Yeah.
So I'm wondering about the school. First of all, how to get people come to you? Are they sent? Do they want to do art? Have they ever done art, or is it a sort of a prescription from the therapist that they have to do that? Or how is that?
They find out through a variety of ways, and the way that a large part of the funding for the program comes through Medicaid, and which is very complicated, and I don't have to get into all that, although that's part of what I do now is enroll students or help enroll in students and things like that, and make sure that they, you know, that they're happy and that they have a meeting that they feel productive in. What happens is someone comes to us and they say they want to take art services, they can do so in a variety of ways. So that's part of it. And with the new gallery that we just opened, so anyone can take art. It's truly inclusive. So a lot of it is through word of mouth and through what we're doing with our work and attempting to make our work more accessible online and through Facebook and social media and all that stuff. Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
No, but
I'm eligible for Medicaid.
yeah, you could.
If I was in New York, could I go to that art class?
What special need do you have?
I'm not going to tell you now. Okay.
What is interesting to me is if these people who come to you, are they already? Do they already know how to work with art or with painting, with whatever it is, or ceramics, or
Sometimes
whatever?
they have. Sometimes, Heidi, they have prior experience, and we help facilitate, you know, a deepening of their artistic skill. Some people have very little motor skills, so there might be hand over hand contact, that physical support, gentle physical support needed to help do a successful piece. And really the beauty of it, Heidi and Mark, is if someone comes in, takes art, a class, they start to develop a piece and they work on that sustained over time. And then we'll even show that work in a gallery setting, which we've done successfully. And some people might have their work sold, and someone will buy either a print of their work. So it's the whole kind of full circle of the career of the artist, which is anyone can be an artist. Doesn't matter who you are. You just have to be a person, and you make your art. And we're a place that helps refine that ability and get that out in the world. And the full success is a sale of the work, you know, sort of in the capitalists' idea of it. You know, somebody has to buy your work in order for you to be successful. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if someone has to buy your work for you to be a successful artist, but at least somebody's got to see it. You know?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm still at the school itself. Is it every day, or how is that? Or once a week, or how do you work on these things?
We do every day. We're open every day of the week. Like if you took all 3 of our programs and you line them up every day, including Sunday, we're open. And we have classes usually in the morning to about 6 or 7 p.m. at night, depending on the location. So you could come in and most people take either one class a week. Sometimes they like it so much they do 3, or they come for 2 full days and they come for 8 hours a week of art.
And so they are the people who are not mobile. They are brought by their, I don't know, parents or who are their caregivers, and they leave them there, and then you take care for them, and then at the end of the day they are taken back where they live.
Yeah, sometimes we do transport now too. We have at least at the facility in Round Lake Road, we do transport with a van, and I do that myself. I pick a group of guys up on Friday and bring them to art, do art all day. Well, I say all day, it's not really all day. It's till about 1:30, and then I drive them back to where they are picked up and they go to their homes. So yeah,
get them back by 1:30 or so. They must be pretty hungry by then, huh?
Oh, we factor in lunch. I mean, lunch is a part of the lunch. I forgot to mention that there was a lunch.
Oh, hopefully for the teachers
maybe
too.
I will look into this. Yeah. Okay.
So, Scott, you have prepared a little bit of
Yes, I did. I'll
presentation, and I
share
think
my
it would be
screen.
nice.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
some people are arrived also, so we have some live
viewers.
watchers.
Good.
Oh, good.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Good. Very good. Okay, I should be sharing my. I'm going to present.
Yes.
This is let's see, is it there? Everybody can see?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is the ribbon cutting for the new gallery that opened just this past June. And this gentleman right here is named Fred Ehrlich, and he's the CEO of Living Resources. This is my my director, Sergio, and there's Waldo right here. And
He's wearing a
there's
tie.
and here we have kind of some artists. There's some artists in the picture, and there's my my co-teacher, one of my co-workers, Marcus here, and we're all excited about opening the gallery. So I just thought I'd start with that one. And that's, if people are in the New York area, they can go and see it. It's at 70 Beekman Street, and that's in Saratoga. And here's an artist. I like this. Art transcends and includes differences, you know, because people come in, and often I get someone will tell me, well, why, Scott, do people look at me funny? You know, I'm just like I'm just a person like everybody else. And that sort of, it touches me emotionally. And I can't imagine how just walking along, someone will treat you a certain way. And so I think an art class and the kind of environment we create, or we co-create with people like this here, an environment where people can come in, feel safe, make artwork, enjoy the company of each other, laugh and have a good time, and even show their work. This is the student here. This down here is she's working on some seals, and it was a fun piece. This is also her lighthouse piece. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And then we did a show in Albany called Wild Things, and we noticed that a lot of our students were making animals, a lot of different kinds of animals. And so we put together a show, and that was the theme. And this is a picture over the left of my coworker Rebecca, and working at her watercolor class. Now everyone can take this one. You don't have to have need Medicaid services to take this art class. So this is kind of the truly inclusive model that we're trying to build. I think is kind of really needed this time. And then here we have down here, we're working on a project that we put in a bakery. And here it is, that's for the completed project. Believe there is good in the world. And then you can see be the good. And then there's a better picture coming up, but this is the world map done in big puzzles for the Puzzles Bakery.
So clever.
Yeah, and I firmly believe that art accesses the whole person. And so when you come and you're doing your art, you're getting a kind of deep connection to your creative nature, and you can't do that just regularly. You have to work at that, and that's something that we're very proud to be a part of. And here's a better picture of it, and you can see it's pretty big. Those are all big plywood pieces all fit together. And some art students there. Yes.
Yeah, these are the students who made it. That's
Yep. Those are people that help make it. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what sort of problems do they have? They seem to be mobile when they can come to the inauguration.
Yeah.
Stand there.
Yeah. Sometimes, I have to be careful about what I say in terms of protecting people's right to privacy.
Sure.
There's a variety of disabilities. Different kinds of disabilities that are like ADHD, autism, and things like that, intellectual disability, things like that. But all these people are very happy to have made this project, and it's really great to have it on a wall. And you go, we just went there not that long ago, and it's beautiful. It's sitting there. This is a student who's just really a shining example of someone who's very proud of their art.
Uh-huh.
And here's all the art teachers, or an earlier photo there's me. And these are all the co-workers that, this is a photo from last February when we did the show in Boston Spa.
Ah, uh-huh.
And here's some students over here selling prints.
Uh-huh.
And it's a good way to, be a part of the community. You sell your work and get people interested in not only you as an artist, but the program and things like that. This is in Saratoga, the track is a big deal. So we have a horse.
Oh, yeah. Horse racing in Saratoga.
Yeah, that's why that's there, and it's in front of the art gallery. You can see a sneak peek into the window there. And here's me and one of my students. And for this student, applying paint and with a brush, and the feeling and the texture of the paint, and glue, like gluing stuff down, is something that he really likes to do. And he's a big ham. he's a real character. And he's got just even filling in squares with color is a good practice. Hand-eye coordination to go through and do all these together, and to do that for 2 hours, bless his soul, because that's dedicated work for 2 hours.
Yep, that sure is.
So that's what I wanted to show. So I'm going to come out, and there we go, and come back.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's really
Thank you. Say, that was a nice little tour. Appreciated that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm wondering, do these, when they sell the stuff, do they get the money, and do they have then a competition? If somebody sells something and the others not, how is that?
Yeah, yes, they do get money, and we take a piece of that for the materials. The company takes a piece of that for materials and work to frame and mat and everything. But yeah, there's paperwork that has to be done where a student signs, because we don't want people to be exploited and taken advantage of, and we want everyone to have a fair chance of their artwork selling, but not everybody sells their work. And so, it's sometimes there is a bit of a competition, or, how come I haven't sold yet? But that's part of what we do. And you don't have to, I always say, you don't have to sell your work, but it's nice to be a part of having the ability to show your work and have it be seen.
Yeah.
So when you think about having them the success to sell to, would you in this case suggest a topic, or suggest something what they could do which might be more sellable, Because I'm asking that, I should have put on the T-shirt I have. I got a gift from somebody who is and on the T-shirt was a print with horrible faces, like this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know if I had bought it myself, So I wanted to say there are some topics which probably are more easy to sell, and others more difficult, or some ways of presenting the art,
Yeah.
Question is if you.
Yeah. Well, there's no real good answer about why something might sell and why something wouldn't, but we do, as sort of the art instructors, suggest things that make people's artwork better. And just like you have your own free will, you can decide whether you decide however you want to make your work. And I think the best refinement of the artistic process is when someone comes in and says, we get a lot of, I want to make something that I've seen, like in a Disney movie or something like this. Take that and make your own work. Learn how to, do a piece that, you really want to do, but also work on creating original work. And that's a process, and taking someone into their own actual skills and really getting those skills and that style and working with, that's just amazing. Yeah.
That leads also to the question, how long do these people stay with you? Only a month, a year, several years? How is that? Can you see the progress?
We have, yes. And we have had some students that are over 10 years enrolled in art class. Yeah. And have been very successful and have gone into different styles and things like that. And some people that are just starting out, just new to the program and new to that experience. Sometimes, you know, it's sort of like 3 different categories: a person that enjoys the art experience, you know, and sort of gets that the experience of working with materials and the hands-on environment of the art class, and that's a social and just a social and sort of a hands-on experience. It's very good. And then there's a kind of person that's wants to do artwork and wants to work really hard on their work. And then there's people that have amazing, unusual talents, and those people are very inspirational too. So we have all different kind of levels of talent that we try to work with. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us about a case who was an unusual talent and what came out of that?
Sure. I think I'm thinking of one person in particular who has a very good freehand technique, and she will work and be able to work on what she sees. So I've done a few still life classes where we would work on something that we've seen, and she had her own way of rendering the still life image, like of a flower. I like to bring in plants, sunflowers, or I brought in sunflowers. I brought in like a bouquet, and it's nice to do work not just from your imagination, but from what you see, you know? So, yep. And then she has a very illustrative style, Heidi. It's very like you might see in a storybook, you know?
That leads to the next question. Do they maybe do book illustrations?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a gentleman who's working on his own sort of magic fantasy sort of graphic novel. It's kind of, you know, one thing is to have an idea, Mark and Heidi, to have the idea in your head, and then the other thing is to really work it through.
Whoa,
And that follow through is something that the art program is involved with. You know, it's the right amount of push and the right amount of not pushing, if that makes sense. It's a dance. It's really a dance. You don't want to push someone too hard to make something that you think is great, but it's really about working with a person. It's about service anyway. We're serving people, making their lives better. And in turn, there's a natural feel good. At the end of the day, I feel good that I'm a part of something like this, you know, that helps. It's like a, yeah.
When you said you had somebody anyway, maybe more than one, who've been around for years in the class.
Oh, sure. Yep.
I wonder, do they progress and say become more saleable with experience in that
maybe,
process?
yeah, maybe. I think they certainly become better artists, and that kind of person is. Here's another way I like to think of it. You know, like you know how you have Wi-Fi and your computer connects to the Wi-Fi, and you get the internet. When you have a really high quality student who's been in the program for a while, they almost have their own Wi-Fi. They have their own signal that people can connect to, and that's a inspirational thing. That seeing someone working hard, working well, is a way that helps other people that are new or not as talented do better. And you know, and one of the best ways to work with people is I've found is it seems like sitting next to someone and working on a very similar project and doing a project with them, you know, not doing a project for someone, but doing a project with someone, helping them learn different, shadow and light and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if necessarily we're making thousands of dollars here selling work, but obviously the idea is that, that the work gets out there. We had just a quick aside on this. There was a truck called the Clink, and CLYNK, and our students' artwork got put on that truck to go around with. So that's kind of a nice thing too, that it gets out there like that.
Yeah. How do you put artwork on a truck? Do you have to paint it onto the truck?
I think they made a big print of it, Mark, and put it on the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
A commercial process. Yeah.
What I'm
Yeah.
interested in is this also understood as therapy? Is it accompanied by therapists, or is it just, I mean, for instance, people with depression or with, I don't know what, but it's not a chronic state necessarily. And do they engage in this, and do they see a result, a change of their situation?
Right. Well, technically, we're not a therapeutic. There is something called art therapy, which involves a certification that we're not really doing. But I wouldn't rule out any kind of therapeutic component to doing artwork. Naturally, my take on this is that when you're doing art, your psychological material comes up. It doesn't matter who you are. With an unprocessed emotion, things that are happening in your life, you have immediate direct contact with in art class. And that's why that safe environment is so key, because without that safety, those expressions or those feelings, if they're coming out at all, they don't have a place to go. And so we really have kind of a special thing going for us, which is people come and take art. They want to. They want to come. We're not forcing people to come to take art. And, that wanting to do work, to do the artwork, is a really big deal.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself helps. That you see what I mean? That desire that is really part and parcel to the process of growth. Because if you don't want to do it, then I can't tell you anything that's going to make you want to. I can do a lot of bells and whistles and tricks and trick you to feeling like you're enjoying yourself, but you really want to come to art. That's a different thing altogether, and that makes for a very fun time. And I'm really happy that we do that.
I bet.
Yeah.
How do you see this program developing over time? I mean, you've been with it for a couple of years now, and I presume you intend to stay with it.
Yeah.
Or how the program itself here?
Well, we think that in part, the assistant director Sergio and I work hard on creating a program with integrity, and a program that does what it says, And since we opened up the gallery, that's a big move for us in developing programs and aspects of community engagement and working within the community, specifically at Saratoga right now, that will bring our people and their work and expose that work in a way that they wouldn't have before. Before, we would show in different museums around the area, but never had we a direct gallery, our own dedicated, gallery with our people's work, people from the community. So not only our people, but from other people. So it's kind of hard to say, Mark, because with Trump as president, it may change the nature of Medicaid, and I suppose we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we think that the good qualities of an art program, if we are ways to keep it alive and fresh in and of itself. So that's how I'm really happy and proud of what I do, even though I don't like everything that may be going on in the world.
Well, of course. And I suppose one of those balancing acts is, how much is for the students who have these special needs and other people in the community who you say you invite in to take part in the art program, who aren't necessarily being funded by a public public fund.
Right, and that's something that we're still working on and figuring out. And the beauty of having it open to the community is important, because I think that that's what we're really moving towards, true inclusion. Because the days of segregating people for differences is, I think, beyond us. We need to find ways to work with who we are and the best qualities of who we are and bring those together. And art is one of it. Since it's my passion, it's one of the best ways to do that. Best ways to communicate that inclusion.
Yeah.
So celebrate who we are.
I was going to ask, who are you including? But actually, it goes in all kinds of ways. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not excluding. And it's a big difference.
Right.
Yeah.
So before, you have talked about that you are also have a class or a course with sex offenders. And I would be really very interested how that works out. That seems to be a different group. You said, or did you go to prison?
Right.
We had Mark Blessoff, who was talking about aging in prison, and he did workshops for people who are in prison. Just to remind people, you can find that on the wisdomfactory.net/Mark Blessoff with 2 Fs. So this is, for me, normally don't speak about. We try to forget them. So I'm very curious what your experience is and what you were able to do there.
These gentlemen have all served time in various different ways, but also have diagnosed disabilities. So there's that piece added. So I think that there was an initial part of that situation that was, well, the attitude about art might be such that, okay, this is an environment where anything goes, and that's really not the case. The way that I do that class, the way that I've learned to work with people that have maybe behavior challenges, that maybe get triggered easily, or because of all my work with children, 10 years, or like 8 or 9 years working with children, and the violent children. And so because of my work with that, there's a way you kind of develop over time a capacity to help structure. You can control an environment, but you can't control people. You can control an environment. And the way you do that is, over time, you develop a consistent nature of calm, but yet assertive clarity. So over time, do the same thing. Develop a very safe routine. And so that routine is sacred. So and that builds a safety. So when you come to class, you're going to take art class, you're going to do art, and because you want to, not because you have to. I have to work, right? I mean, I don't have to, but to make my paycheck or whatever, I need to work. But when you get the luxury of coming to art, it's a gift, but it's done in such a way that when you come to art class, you have a safe but structured routine where you're working and engaged, properly engaged in the art. And there's no better, in my opinion, there's no easier or better way to engage someone than by creating art together in that environment, co-creating art, working on projects individually, and then showing and doing critique. And you know, so with all that background, or that shadowy background where someone maybe has committed a crime, and that crime is really offensive and difficult if you were to read the crimes, right? It's important to remember that this is still a human being who deserves that respect of being a person. So in my company, I may not like everything that happens. I may not like what I see, but I like art class, and I like time with guys on Friday. We're going to do art class, and there's that repeated pattern builds the camaraderie needed for someone to grow as an artist or even grow as a person. So ultimately, I feel like I don't, art isn't necessarily the bottom or the base of the picture. It's really the pattern that I'm going to, and I'm coming to art. I'm going through the physical motion of using the paper and the pen and the paint and the colored pencils. Now I'm doing watercolor, and then building more of that independent. I don't need Scott to tell me what to do on my work. He's there to be a guide. He's there as sort of, I'm there as to really keep that pattern of class happening, so that genuine joy can happen in art, and someone can work on make their art and sell their art, and or have the opportunity to sell it. So that's alone is sort of part of that psychological hierarchy of needs. You know, you want to belong, you want to be safe and be loved and be cared for, and that's basically the basement. That's not necessarily art, but there's an art to making that class happen like that. There's an art to making the program that we offer like that.
That's a different
Oh,
kind of art. Yeah.
That's meta art.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
but maybe we don't want to go too deeply into this, but how has this experience affected your own action?
I think it's wonderful. I do my art as a practice, so it's almost better than for me sitting and doing a meditation. So I've always been interested in the Eastern kind of spiritualities. That doesn't mean I'm against Western spirituality. I kind of like them both, but there's a deep, fundamental, creative lineage of artists that goes all the way back to the cave painters. And I see myself as one of those in a river of artists that do this work. And when I work with people, it's all of a sudden I feel that after time develop, after camaraderie develop, and I'm doing the things that I do with the humor and with suggesting things about people's work, that doesn't necessarily, that's not the thing, but there's this feeling of I'm helping become either those bottom two structures. So somebody may not have those bottom structures very well. They may be kind of broken, and I kind of feel like I become, and part of it is I become aspects of a stable bottom hierarchy of needs. So I'm part of that, and they're part of that. And then after that drops away, there's a play or a dynamic that makes art fun and makes art class fun, and it's spontaneous, it's in the moment, and that I carry through into my own work, and it's like a window into another way of looking at the world. Every person, and these are people that are on the fringes that maybe we don't or whatever, but that view is so crucial to what I would like to express or learn to express. And back to that analogy of the Wi-Fi or the Buddha emanating in different realms. People live in different realms. People live in their individual dreams, and it's like accessing another person's dreams in a way, and seeing that what they dream about, seeing their inner vision, how they orient toward the world, can only help me as an artist get better too. So it's it's really a two-way street.
Good. Thank you. I don't know what to say to that, except that obviously it's affecting you, and it couldn't help not affect you, you know. So that, and it's a definite progress for you personally, as well as for them.
I find it intriguing because, as you say, people are living in different realms, and probably the people you are working with the realms are much different from, let's say. And so you get a much bigger insight in a different world, in a completely different world, which you can explore than you know, when you are between among your colleagues and everybody sees more or less the things in the same way. There may be differences, but not so big one. But I'm talking now about, let's say, psychological problems. The so-called crazy people, they might have a world which is colorful and completely different perspectives on the world. And I can imagine that this is intriguing to learn about that.
Oh, what insights you must get into these folks, you know.
I liked very much Carl Jung growing up, and read Man and His Symbols, which I recommend out of his work. Is very impressive work. And the archetypal realm is so vast. If the impulse of how I draw a head or a face varies from person to person, but you can see a common thread, or that collective unconscious working to really realize itself. And the beauty of art is like a light that shines in the darkness. You're putting awareness out in front of you. You can't help but see what your work. You might see the golden stuff. You might see the not so good stuff. It's important to see all that stuff and work with it as a process. And art is, in my opinion, the best way, or one of the best ways to work with that. And the insights are you begin to question. I think the best thing, Mark and Heidi, is you question what you think is real about your assumptions.
Real and normal.
This is this and that is that. And no. everyone, no matter, you might be diagnosed with whatever, but you'll still have this is this and that means that. And it may be different. And it's fun to play with that. Oh, you think that is this. And working with that as the kind of the creative gold, you know. Oh, you think this is this, and that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You could. I'm like this too.
Sure.
Which is, I think things are a certain way, and that's the spiritual component for me. Which is, things don't have to be a certain way in art class. They can be that person's way, or they can show up on the paper or on the canvas or in the sculpture in that way. They can show up that way. Oh, that's the way it looks. And let's talk about that, the way that it looks. And it, you know, yeah.
Okay. I understand that this gets difficult to talk about at some point. Yeah, but it's intriguing. It's just fascinating, because we have this problem when we look at ourselves. You know, at some point we just get, oh my God, did I say that? Did I understand that? I didn't even know that was part of me. you know?
Yeah, and then we
Yeah.
know that art is a way to express
Uh-huh.
what you cannot say with words, or to
Ah.
anticipate what
Yes.
the future, what is wants to be created. And I
Yeah.
imagine that there is no difference between you and them or us or whoever who has learned a little bit how to use these things and then is
Yeah.
able to bring that forth. I think that's fascinating,
It
the
is.
idea.
Yeah.
And that for me, it's fascinating what I tried to say before, the different perspectives which you then, by watching this art, or also I think watching it how it develops,
Yeah.
you have insight in these different worldviews
Yeah.
almost, you know, and these different perspectives.
And I wanted to say two things, Heidi, about that. One thing prior to that, which is the power of music in developing a creative atmosphere.
Yeah.
So having a way to play music during art class, and different individuals get a turn. Everyone has a turn to express their music taste. And so there's a sharing that's happening on that auditory level. And there's a power in music that, and music is visible. It's an auditory experience, but some individuals will see music. They will see color. They will see,
Yeah.
they will see the music. They will experience a kind of a synesthesia with the music. And so I just really feel that there's a magic to that we tap into when we share music together.
Do you
So,
also
there's one
make
thing.
music
Yeah.
together? You are a musician too?
Not
No.
in the program, no, but we do share music. So we share our taste. You know, you like musicals, you like country, you like heavy metal, you like rap, and you like, you know, so all the different tastes are brought into the experience. So there's a synergy of, oh, he likes this kind of music, and that social component. There's a socialization on a way you can't see when someone is sharing the things they like. And so that's also helping create a safe environment. That's also, I mean, that's one of my, what do you call it, my tricks that I like. Some people don't, some people won't do it that way, but that's one of the ways I do it.
Yeah,
And
because
the other thing too,
you are a,
oh, go ahead, Heidi.
you
Yeah.
are a global artist. No, I don't know how to say that, but you are a musician and artist and teacher. So you have these possibilities to really get them together. Holistic, I wanted to say. That was
Holistic.
the word.
Oh,
Yeah.
good word. Good word.
Yeah, so that the first part was that, Heidi. I wanted to mention the power of music, and then I'm trying to remember the other part, and I think it had to do with, you were talking about
The different worldviews which you can perceive through their artwork.
yes, and so and that also is a component too, is, oh, he sees the world this way and she sees it like this, and then there's all the hidden, what the teachers have called the hidden curriculum, which is, I'm really teaching about listening and about hearing other people and about cohabitating the world with different people in it, because we're all different, and and special needs people are no exception to that rule. That every person has their own unique, even though they may have a same diagnosis, they all have their own, they're all little, what you call it, like a widget, their own little
Cosmic address.
cosmic address. Yeah, there's a
Anyway, and Carl Jung would bless your work, sir.
yeah.
I'm quite sure.
Yeah, this is
We are
wonderful.
almost at the end.
Oh my.
Scott, you are doing also online courses for whoever wants to participate, and I know that one is starting in January, I think, or you have a webinar in January, which is leading to the course. So do you want to share something about that?
Sure. The webinar is on the 28th, actually, of this month, and we will be. Yep. And I made an online course with Margarita, Crystal Lotus, and she and I did a whole bunch of video content. It's just a wonderful course. It's for anybody that they want to take it, and there's free content that someone can sign up and look at. And maybe after, Heidi, I'll just post the links under the video, and people can click on that.
I can give a little bit of a testimony because when you did the trial, I was one of the guinea pigs. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked it a lot, you know. I didn't know that I was so engaged with it. You know? And I really liked it. And it's astonishing what you can learn with, you know, little effort. It's really, I mean, I saw also the other students, how they came up with much better things than me, you know. But it was really, really astonishing. And I remember when you showed, for instance, how to draw a paw of a cat, you know?
Yeah.
It's easy, you know? But I myself, oh gosh, I would never have thought about that, you know? And things like that, little tricks, and then also the freedom of expressing yourself in doodling. That's what I like so much. And you gave it always the structure. I really recommend people to watch them.
He's skillful.
Thank you. I'm just really proud of what Margarita and I are somehow have a unique way of working with art in our own ways. And when it came together, it created a very unique course. And it's just very amazing. If someone goes all the way through and does it, I think it's a real profound, not just a transformation that may be temporary. Oh, I just felt good, and that's it. You know, I spent some money on a course, and that's it. I just think it's something that you know, will carry into someone's life.
Is there a landing page or something where you can send people to, or is it on your website?
They can click on my website. My website is listed under here.
Yeah, we
Scott
should say
Marshall
it.
Art.
Yes,
www.scottmarshallart.com. And then there's a little brown picture of a sketch, and it says Instant Drawing Course, and you can click on that. And then I'll just put that link to it. Also, I just should say big shout out, big love to my my co-workers at Living Resources in the arts program. Thank you guys for working so hard. And, you know, Sergio is working really hard on that gallery. And it's really coming together very well. And people, if they're interested in donating, they can donate a very large sum of money if they want.
And can you repeat where?
They will go to livingresources.org. I'll put a link under after, Heidi.
Good.
I'll put a link, and you can go in there and consider donating to the art program or to the company. We appreciate donations. And if you're interested in taking art courses, don't hesitate to ask, and we'll try to figure out a way to make art courses happen for somebody who can receive them. So that's a big plug, but it's very important. I love what we do there, and we're just gonna keep doing it.
Wonderful. This is
to
great.
the benefit of everybody, and at the end of the world, you know, we are world changers. How do you say? We all have in our intention to create a better world.
Yes,
and
we do.
Art and music is a good way to do that.
Absolutely.
Well
said.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have some final word?
No, I'm just I've just been impressed. We have such quick little contacts on Facebook. You know, that's been a real treat to get into some deep stuff with you today.
Oh, great!
I appreciate it. And
great.
But don't hang up. We're gonna stop the recording. But
I want to say still to the viewers that we have done an interview in the Wisdom Factory with Scott about integral art.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I will post this link too, and otherwise you will find it. Scott Marshall, Integral Art, the Wisdom Factory. You will find that on Google. I'm quite sure of it. So thank you, everybody who is watching now, is still watching, and who is watching later. Thank you. And please write your comments.
Yes,
we would like
please.
to know what you are
Feedback,
thinking about
please.
it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.